Hey everybody, this is Christy Furio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to this edition of Shift Break. I hope you've been having an amazing week this week. I am just freshly back from the Indianapolis Coffee Fest, and as you heard in the latest episode of Keys to the Shop, or From the Floor, there are some great conversations we got to have, and always a great time at Coffee Fest. And one of the things that you see at Coffee Fest is a lot of booths that have equipment, and that equipment can be kept clean and working the way it's supposed to for a very long time, making the best coffee possible thanks to companies like Ernex. You see a lot of Cafeza and different types of Ernex products throughout the show floor, and that's because it's the best product that you can use to clean your equipment, no matter what equipment you have. Ernex has been creating cleaning products for the coffee industry for over 80 years, and they develop products for a wide range of very specific equipment, such as cold brew, steam wands, grinders, brewers, espresso machines, and even a dedicated cleaner for roasters that is brand new and very exciting. You know, the great thing about Ernex is that they work hand in hand with professionals across the globe to make sure that what we use in the shop is both effective and easy to use. Now, from personal experience, I just know that this stuff is so powerful, and it's exciting to watch it just clean away, and it just is bewildering how well it works. So the bottom line here is that clean equipment makes the best coffee, and the best cleaning products are made by Ernex. Find out more information by visiting the website at ernex.com. Okay, so today I want to talk about a good question to ask yourself if you are an owner, if you're somebody who's in charge of hiring, or even if you're just somebody who is slightly involved in hiring. And that is the question, would you hire you? You know, in the training and consulting for coffee shops that I do through Keys to the Shop, and over the course of this weekend, even in some of my talks at Coffee Fest, the theme of, managers and owners letting themselves off the hook comes up quite often. It's easy to let yourself off the hook when it comes to being an example of the things that you want others to do or to live out. Part of the issue here is that you got so much on your plate that isn't directly related to working the bar, and you kind of argue yourself out of having to do all the things you expect other people to do, or sort of live out the values that you want other people to embody. You say you're too busy leading to do the work of demonstrating, and the truth is that you lead first by example. When you first start a shop, you're always kind of looking to see what areas can be improved. That goes from the actual equipment and feel of the space to the people that are working in it. And other people's flaws in service or their execution in making drinks are picked up very, very well by you because you're always kind of on the hunt for those things. And you have, in your position as a leader, the luxury of being able to address those things with authority. So you give feedback, say, please keep doing this, please don't do that, and that's a benefit of your position. But it often happens that your own mistakes and habits that may cause just as much dysfunction and angst around you, with people around you, are not really addressed unless you give authority to others to communicate to you what they see. And that rarely happens. Usually it's just we continually go down the path of looking at others, looking around you, but never looking at you. And the thing is, even if you're not looking at this for yourself and holding yourself accountable, people already are noticing these things about you. It's not as though it's escaped people's attention that you're being hypocritical, that you're not holding yourself accountable to follow through in the types of things that you hold other people accountable for. There is a ton of talk that goes on in a coffee bar, and a lot of it has to do with the collected observations that staff have of leadership's flaws. The fact is that you coming to this revelation is basically coming late to the party. People already have observed these things, and it's better late than never, honestly, when it comes to reconciling the fact that you've kind of been giving yourself a pass. The great question again is, if you walked into an interview with yourself today, you're sitting in the room and you walked in, would you be eager to hire yourself? There's a couple of ways that you can answer this question. Of course, there's yes or no. So let's start with yes. If you say yes, I would hire me, is it based on the fact that you know what your intentions are? And internally you're cool with your motives and you know your heart's in the right place? Or is it on your actions and the observable actions that other people will back up? Things that you've demonstrated. Your character and your skill is well known, and you have a track record for exemplifying the things that you are wanting other people to do and that you hold in as a value for new employees or veteran employees of your shop. Or are you letting yourself off the hook because you just trust your own motives and you think they're pure and you give yourself grace before others, which is often the case. We give ourselves tons of second chances, but rarely do we give people as many chances as we give ourselves. And if you're in a position of authority, that's one of the ways that authority can kind of corrupt you. And of course, the other answer is no. No, I wouldn't hire me. And why? Why would that be the case? For a lot of us, the answer would be just because we've become so distracted with the putting out of fires and other types of things that draw our attention away from living out the kind of example that we want other people to live out, we become less than self-aware. And if you can answer that question honestly, either yes or no, especially if you answer it no, if you're having a real vulnerable moment, that's really good because you're being self-aware. You're actually doing something that not enough leaders do. And now you have a choice to make. Of course, if you say yes, keep doing what you're doing. I don't know what is going on inside your head. Whether or not you're actually telling the truth to yourself is a whole nother topic that other people have more expertise in dealing with, and how we convince ourselves against the truth. But let's just say you absolutely are killing it. Keep doing that. Now, what if you said no? What do? I think a great place to start is to start reflecting. Start reflecting on exactly what it is that you need to change about your behavior and how it impacts other people, especially in your position of authority. And the fact that your position has a lot of severe implications on what people think about the company, beyond what they think about you, what they think about themselves as professionals. A lot of people would still be in coffee, and it would be a better industry because of having them, but they had a boss who was way less than self-aware, and they sort of trampled on them. Had they been a little bit more honest with the value that they brought to the table in their performance, not just their heart for the work, but their actual actions and words, they might have preserved those relationships. Toxicity wouldn't have spread, and they would have been better off as leaders too. So that's the first thing, is reflect on exactly what it is that you know caused you to answer no to that question. And then make a plan to go and get some feedback from the people around you who are under your leadership. So if that's employees like baristas, if you're a manager, or if you happen to be an operations manager or a general manager and you more operate with the managers, asking them to give some feedback on how you're doing and not in an intimidating way, like, hey, can you, tell me how great I am, is what this comes off as to a lot of people when a manager or somebody in authority says, let me know how I can improve, and it's so cavalier, but be very serious about this. Make sure that people understand that you are going to take what they say to heart and not in a defensive way. We have a lot of episodes that deal with taking feedback. You should re-listen to some of those, especially if you're in the category of answering no to this question. But ask your staff what you can do to improve on exemplifying the kind of things that you know are expected of them and where you need to be more consistent. Bottom line here is this. Asking yourself questions like, would you hire you, is key to holding yourself accountable when other people, because of your position, might not feel comfortable holding you accountable. Ultimately, leadership can tend to be a pretty lonely place. And in the process of leadership, you need to lead yourself first. Stop giving yourself a pass on things because you're the boss. And because those are one of the perks. Hypocrisy is not a perk. Hypocrisy is the rust that erodes the strength of what you should be there to do, which is to uphold the organization and manage and lead people. So by doing this, by being honest, by asking yourself this question and taking action accordingly to rectify that situation, you can become the employee that you want your employees to be. So I hope that this episode was helpful. This is something that I shared with people at Coffee Fest, and it definitely rang true for several of them, where we do tend to get into a mode where we get insulated from reality. We get in a trance of the day-to-day work, and questions like this can shake us out of it into a place of dealing with what's actually happening and not what we can convince ourselves against what's true is happening. So let's be the type of people that we would hire, okay, in truth, in reality. And I hope that this episode really stirred up a desire in you to do just that. So thank you very much for joining me today. Be sure to tune in Tuesdays. We talk to operations manager for Kova Coffee, John Felix Lund, all about management life. It's really going to be a good episode. And be sure to visit earnex.com for the best cleaners for your coffee equipment that you can find. And have an amazing day. We'll see you here next week for another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.